Hi, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads, and in this Better Beader episode, we are going to go over some easy ways to do fringe. You may have seen lots of different patterns with peyote in all different ways and brick stitch. I'm going to show you a really novice way to accomplish some fringe look with very little skills. We're going to be doing 3 different pairs of earrings and showing you how to construct those. Again, just with a nice simple fringe. This can then be used for pendants, for earrings, for all different designs, but it hopefully will springboard your imagination to think of other ways to accomplish great jewelry. So we're going to begin with a simple fringe just using head pins. So for this design here, what we're going to do is a series of head pins. You can make them longer, shorter, stack longer ones and shorter ones, change up the design, make them all the same design. But basically what I'm doing is creating a series of fringe that is going to look good, go together, and in a nice kind of V pattern here. I have for each earring 5 head pins, and what I'm doing for the head pins is I've gone in and I've added in some seed beads to help create the look. To do so, I've started out with my 5 head pins, and I've gone in from 1/8, then 2/8, then 3/8, and building out in the design, just creating that nice, easy look. I have one more to do, and what I'm doing is for this head pin, I've turned it back 90 degrees. From there, I have a round nose plier, so this is the same thing as doing earrings. It's basically just a series of them. I turned that wire back 90 degrees and I can see both jaws. I'm going to go over the top of that jaw, flip from the top to the bottom, and go back to do a coiled eye pin. If you need help on the coiled eye pin, we have tons of video on that. Once I get this going, and I'm just going to pull it up here, wrap around, bring in my wire cutter, and put it down. You can attach these if you want to a form. The easiest thing to do is to make your own form though, honestly. So I have some 20 gauge wire here. And what I'm going to do is with this 20 gauge wire, which is about 3.5 inches long, more than I need, I'm going to go in and make a 45-degree angle. From here, I'm going to slip on my first pin, and then I'm going to separate them out by one of my 8/0 seed beads. Now again, this pattern can vary and change, and you can create anything you want when it comes to the pattern of the seed beads. You can use bigger beads if you want to. You can do this as more of a statement for a pendant and really have fun creating along that line. Once all of your beads are onto your wire here with that 45-degree angle, I'm going to take my other side of my wire here, holding right after the beads, and I'm going to bend it up so they cross to make that nice little V section there, just like this sample piece. From here, one side of that V, I'm going to make sure it's about the same size. The shorter side of that V is just going to, right here I'm holding, that shorter side of the V wraps around one time and then gets cut off at the back. With your needle nose pliers, you can go in and kind of pinch that a little bit closed. Turn that regular wire up so it's coming straight out from your triangle. If you want to, drop on another 8/0 seed bead, and then just like we've been doing, go ahead to get this nice triangular look with the fringe, make a loop. Take your round nose pliers, and I'm going to make the loop so that it's sitting the same way as my triangle, bending to the side, bringing the wire over the top, switching my top jaw to my bottom jaw, crossing over, and just doing one loop. Now for this, you do need to know how to do those coiled eye pins, but again, I have tons of videos for it. I love the idea of just doing this fringe without any thread, without any needles, and really allowing a novice to have fun creating this fringe look with very little knowledge, with very little stress, and getting a great pair of earrings in a very short amount of time. So this is my head pin fringe that we're working on, and now we're going to go into using an actual waxed linen cord, or any cord will work, to do fringe with cord hanging down to show a little bit of that with the beads. My next fringe is going to start out with an actual cord. So this is some waxed linen cord, and what we're going to do is tie it around a jump ring and then just add some beads so it sits as fringe. Again, this can be done with any sort of cord. You have embroidery floss, you have leftover silk cord, anything will work. I've cut 3 pieces of my waxed linen cord, and I have here a jump ring. Number 1, you're going to make sure your jump ring is closed and not open. Slide the wax linen. I have 3 pieces. I have them about 6 inches each. You'll see once we do this that you can have it in varying sizes. I'm going to double that wax linen over so that way it's equal at each end. And I'm just going to do a regular overhand knot. So just as if you were tying a shoelace, putting this through, you're just doing all the cords through and then pulling it right through. From here, it's really, really simple. You can make this exactly the same, but honestly the cords are going to move around. So I have some Toho gold seed beads here. Doesn't matter what brand. I'm going to separate out my pieces of wax linen cord. At the end here, do a little bit of a turn, and then start to add on my seed beads. We'll see here I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to add those in a series. And again, any cord will work for this. Take it up, eyeball it so it's about the same length, and give it a little tie at the end. The nice thing with the wax linen cord, I don't feel the need to use any glue or anything. I can just tie it tight, grab a pair of scissors, chop that off, on to the next one. So you can see I can really, really easily just keep adding, measuring approximate lengths if I want to, so that way they measure about the same length. Add however many seed beads I want. Again, I can do this all the same length, that they would hang like earring number 1 in a nice straight line, or I can have fun doing it this way. If you would want to also, you can, just like we did with the headpins, build a form and then tie the thread around the bottom of the form, the base of the form, so that way it hangs individually in individual rows. That is a really cool option as well, and these are really easy to add and keep going, tying a knot and then cutting off to create this second super simple way to do fringe. So for this next one, this is Jenny's design from one of the best bead boxes, and it's actually the ones that I'm wearing too. With the green screen, unfortunately, they kind of get lost, but they're an excellent way to show how to do fringe with a multi-hole bead. So this here is a white teal luster rhombus, and what I've done is put onto the end of thread a stop bead, and I'm going to go through the rhombus. Coming out the bottom of the rhombus, guess what? I start my first fringe. So I'm going to do a 15, couple 11s. I can do it as long or as short as I want. At the bottom of my fringe, what I'm going to do is add on one of these Rizzo beads. So this Rizzo is the matte jade, and I'm going to drop that on and then go back up through my fringe. So this is the way a lot of fringe will happen if you're using thread and needle, that you're going to go down the lines, put something at the bottom kind of to stop it, and go back up the line. Now obviously, if you see with Jenny's, they make a great statement if you keep going pretty long. Coming out here then, I'm going to go in and connect to the other side of my rhombus bead. So I'm going to add in here, I have 3 seed beads, and then we're going to drop down into a middle way. So I'm going to do 3 15s, and if you're using a round duo, if you're using a disc duo for this, if you're using a candy bead, anything with the multi-holes, you'll be able to drop down and come out of those holes to create the fringe and make that kind of a nice statement. I have 3 15-0s on. I'm going to put on 1 more. Again, a series of 11s, a bunch of those. I'll put on 1 gold, another 11 or 2, another gold, drop down. So you can play around with this fringe and decide on it, how you're working there. Just like I did for the first one, skip over that Rizzo bead, which is just a little drop, and I'm going to go back up through the fringe. Going back up through the fringe, I'm going to come out after my first 15-0 that was intended for the fringe portion. So remember, I did 3 15s. And the reason I have the 3 15s with any sort of, again, multi-hole bead is basically to get to the other side. When I go to the other side, I'll have 3 more beads on, and then I'll start my fringe coming down on that side. So there again, I can do it matching. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 of my matte turquoise, 1, 2 of my 15s, and my 1 Rizzo bead. Go back up through all of my beads, skipping over the Rizzo bead, and coming out after the first bead there, first blue bead. Add 1 more 15-0 on, and back up to the top of the Rizzo, or I'm sorry, of the rhombus. So you can see how, because these are shorter, they stick a little bit out to the sides. It's kind of a fun look, and you can make them, again, hang a little bit longer, which is going to bring weight to it and make them hang more downward. From here at the top, I just need to basically make a connection for my ear wire. Just like I did at the bottom with my V, I'm going to put on 3 15-0s, and let's do 1 11-0. From here, make a loop or connect to your ear wire or connect to a soldered ring. I'm going to use a series of 15-0s. Come back down through the 11-0 seed bead, and then 3 more 15s. So this creates that little V to sit on the top of the bead, which is going to then attach to my ear wire. Here at the bottom then, I can reinforce if I want to, or just remove that stop bead. Tie these 2 thread ends together right there, and then add on my ear wire to finish up my long fringe. I'm going to take mine off to see and show some of the color variation and how cool these are to really dangle along the ear. They're light and they're airy, yet they have that amazing fringe ability. If you want to do multiples and have multiples going along, you can also create multiple strands of the fringe coming from them. So again, it doesn't matter if you're using a round duo, if you're using a disc duo, you're using a rhombus bead, any sort of rounded or flat bead. This is giving you the idea of how you can use those and the multi-hole beads to create and already establish a simple fringe for you. Even if you didn't want to do that center drop down, you could have just the 2 strands of fringe coming down as well. So there's tons of options when it comes to how to create and make this simple fringe. Very little bead knowledge is needed to create these 3 awesome pairs of earrings. You have your multi-hold one with just simple fringe coming out. We have our headpins to create a nice patterned fringe. Again, this can be for a necklace, that can be for a bracelet, set of earrings here. And then we have our nice additional one here, which is our corded one. And I'll pull these all up too and do a little showing and show and tell and show you how these look in the ear, so that way you get an idea when they're hanging on what they're going to look like. Originally, I have that fun fringe hanging down long, draping right along my neck. On this side here is that fun cord, which is going to give a really airy kind of flowy look as I wear it around my ear. Again, you can go longer, you can go shorter, and any type of cord will work. Last one here to show is our headpin fringe. So the headpin fringe there, right there, is going to hang to the side, add some crystals for a little bit of bounce off light, a little bit of play, and really hopefully give a nice look to that simple fringe that takes just a couple minutes. As always, thank you so much for watching this Better Beader episode, and hopefully it gave you a lot of ideas and inspired a lot of creativity. The goal of these Better Beader episodes is to make you a better and more informed beader, so that way you can make great art and create your designs with ease and with beauty. As always, if you want to, feel free to give a little thumbs up. Comment below and let us know your tricks, your tips, and your advice for other fellow beaders when it comes to the fringe. Also, let me know which design you are most interested in and which kind of beading of these different styles you are going to make. As always, you can join our beading group for our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. And when you join there, share your pictures and show off what fringe earrings you made and were inspired by this design. As always, if you haven't already, make sure to click that button to subscribe to get regular updates from us here at PotomacBeads. Thanks so much for joining me, and hopefully this episode helped to make you a better beader.